Okay, people, this is episode 22, and it is the year 2019. We're going to kind of go over the whole year here, and we first got to Montana here in the spring break, and the first thing we did is we installed our new generator. We've had a Generac generator in this same spot before, and it was we've always used air cooled, and they work great, but they only work for a certain amount of time and then they give out. You know, this is our source of electricity out here. We're hooked up to a 1,000-gallon propane tank. They're great for emergency stuff, but they're not meant to run all the time. This is actually a water cooled, has a radiator on it, 4-cylinder Mitsubishi car engine, so the Generac makes. I think this is a 22 kW. It's more electricity than we'll ever use. The good thing about this being water cooled versus air cooled, this thing runs at 1,800 RPMs instead of 3,600 RPMs. So we're cutting our speed in half, still getting more electricity, and we're using half the amount of fuel. So that was the reason for the upgrade. Plus, we got tired of fixing this thing all the time. So here we are. Anyway, so let's picture this sheep here. So here's what we decided to do. We've been talking about getting some sheep and goats and that kind of thing, and we weren't exactly sure how they would fare out there without us there all the time. So we talked to a lady in town. Her name is Rachel. She was the veterinarian there in Hysham. And we talked to her and we said, listen, we'd love to have some of your sheep just come live on our land and graze. We just kind of want to fill it out and see how they do. And she says, that sounds like a great idea. So she said, come on by. We'll load these things up and we'll bring them out there to your place. So we showed up and we helped her and her friend Lacey load 26 sheep into their trailer and to get ready to transport out to our place. So here you can see Chase on the tractor. We bush hog mowed a bunch of grass and kind of getting in preparation for this. You can see here where Julie and Stephen are working on the fence. So we got we can't have animals out there without a shelter. So we threw this shelter up there. We have a feeder, we got this hog panel up with some T-posts and stuff. So a place for them to go and, maybe have to share them or something like that. This Hastings is a water trough that we bought. It's good for sheep because it's short to the ground, easy to go. This bigger tank, we filled it up and we made sure, depending on the size, again, we're not sheep farmers, so this was new to us. So we put a board inside in case a sheep ever fell in, they could at least walk out of there. And we put this little board in case for some reason the sheep are too short to get in that water, they could step up on there and dunk their head down in. So as you can see from different angles, this is what it looked like. This 2x12 they put in there for the walk out, we had to put 2 pieces of concrete on the bottom of it just to keep the board from floating. It worked pretty good. So I guess it's time to get some sheep, and here they are, some mamas and some babies. And there's 26 of them, is that correct?
Yes, they are.
26. So we'll show you some pictures of them here. The grass is really greened up this year. Got enough snow, and like I said, this is springtime and grass is looking good. And as you can see, we also put a fence up around the entire cabin area, just in case we didn't want them in there. The only thing we were afraid of is like when we're not there, let's not let them use the front porch as their new home. So that would have been a little nasty to come back to. So we let them come in and out while we were there. But, the game plan was when we're not there, close them out of that area. And as you can see here, we have the gate closed. We actually have 2 gates, one to the left and one out in front of you here in this picture. You see all the sheep there alongside the fence. And again, these are borrowed sheep. They're on loan. So just so we can test this out. And this is our view from the front porch. We love this. So pretty much just about every night Julie takes a picture out there as the sun's going down. She likes to sit out there and relax, absorb some vitamin D3 from the good old sun, and take a picture or two. All right, here's another picture of the sheep, kind of grousing around. So this is in a spot where the grass isn't as green. So you see it's browned up some. And they're definitely after that water. Starting to get warm in the season. These sheep are going to need to be sheared pretty quick. They're pretty thick. Winter coats. Well, while we had them, knew a couple of them were fat, but yeah, this mama gave birth to this little guy. Started out blackish, turned brown right away, and wasn't long it started turning white. But this one particular one just kind of stayed brown. Full year-round tan, but not quite the black sheep of the family. So, again, Julie showing the sunset at the end of another evening. Yep, Julie was able, the rest of us couldn't do it, but Julie was able to pet the sheep. They didn't seem to mind her. So, and as you can see, there's 3 baby lambs with this ewe, and only one of those is hers, but we noticed right away with that many ewes that they one will always babysit for the rest. It's kind of neat. So here they are grazing, and behind the cabin, doing a little mowing session. Here's a bale of hay that we put out there that they're tearing up. We want to make sure they had plenty to eat. And here's a couple pictures of some turkey. So this is a wild turkey. And walking around and decided to snap a picture of these guys. And this is a picture of our west side, actually facing south. This is our, this particular hill is our steepest hill in front of you. See all the dirt on it? We're hoping that it grows grass eventually. We may have to put some kind of topsoil. We don't want it to erode. But yeah, that's a picture of that. And here's an awesome red ball sunset that Julie picture of. And here's the sky as that red ball went down. Okay, so we got a call from Carrie. She said, hey, you know, Danica's taking horse riding lessons, and how about we give us some friends and come out there to your place and go for a horse ride? We were like, sure, come on. So Carrie and Danica came out, and you can see Danica here in this picture with a horse with its neck all braided pretty. So here's Julie petting the horse. So Julie did not go on the horse ride, but she did jump up on there. As you can see, the little ladder there on the floor, on the ground. She did jump up there to take a picture or two. So with her buddy Carrie. And they took off for a ride. Like I said, Julie stayed behind and decided to take a picture as they went around and went down the other ridge across from the cabin. And right after they passed, a bunch of deer came out and said hello. So, and then check out this cloud formation. So this was one of those wow moments, like you got to get your phone out and take a picture of that. And there's Old Yeller. So I can see by the front tires the tailgate to the trailer. And here's a picture of Steven checking the smart scouter camera that's on the pond. So it hadn't gone off in a while, and he went down there and threw his face in front of it real quick to see if it actually triggered, and it did. Well, after that, so shortly after Steven checked the camera, for some reason, we were looking on Craigslist for something else, and we just happened to see that this little girl in Custer, Montana, had a bunch of rabbits for sale. It was a 4-H project, and something happened, and she just ended up with way too many rabbits. Yes. And so she decided to sell some. So we went over there and looked at them, and we just bought them all. So they were in small cages. I'm all for, Cajun rabbits or whatever. I'm not against that. But all these guys look like they just needed a bigger cage, like a ranch-sized cage. So we took them home with us. So here's Julie sitting there on the ground with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rabbits. So we had more than that though. We just let them all out, and they've never been out on the ground before. They were born in a cage and raised in a cage, and this is their first time on the ground. So she's got the brown rabbit. I think there was 2 blacks, 2 browns,
Yes.
and I don't know how many whites, but we just bought them all. Here's a big rabbit, 2 big rabbits Julie's petting. So, and the brown one there on her right side, sitting in her lap, we decided to name him Giacomo Casanova, and you can only figure out why we called him that. He liked to chase every one of the bunnies around and say hello. So, and here's all the rabbits running around, having a good time. Like I said, you can see the black one there, a couple of brown ones by the truck. They're running underneath. You can actually look out there and see one underneath the tractor tire. So they're just everywhere, having a good time. So here's Julie with one of the babies sitting on the porch. There's Chase with a baby. I think everybody grabbed one and just decided to pet it for a while. They enjoyed it. And here's another sunset from the front porch. And time to get these rabbits fed. So decided to tuck it underneath the cabin a little bit, throw them something to eat out there and some water. And you can see they're enjoying being under the cabin. They got plenty of room under there. And they're all having a good time eating. There's Giacomo. Mr. Casanova sitting on her lap there on the front porch. Here they are eating again. So there's the next morning. As you can see, they're under the bird feeders and I guess picking up anything the birds have dropped. And you can see they're empty, so the birds have wiped out the seed. And they usually do that in 1 or 2 days.
Yes.
Maybe 3. So I guess any remnants, these rabbits are enjoying eating whatever seeds are on the ground there. And look, Giacomo Casanova's saying hello to another one. So
for this particular rabbit, you guys are having fun, and from nowhere he stood up like listening to you.
Like, yes, we're having fun. Here's some of our resident rabbits, the brown cottontails there. So they decided to come out and play too. And here's a lovely rainbow. It's been a light sprinkle that made those rainbows. And here's night 2 with the rabbits. So they're up on the front porch eating. And I think we moved their bowls from back underneath the cabin.
Yep.
And I believe Chase went out there to check on them right as it was getting dark. Yep, they're pretty much all underneath the cabin. Kind of just chilling out for the evening. So, I guess Casanova was too fast for Chase to catch. Here's our front porch, and we keep a small refrigerator on there. We keep it stocked with water. When we're up there, you're dehydrated, you're twice as thirsty. It's a drier climate, and anytime you're in a drier climate, you need more water. So here's a picture from the porch of the truck sitting in the driveway. Not really sure. Or maybe it was the clouds in the back we were taking a picture of. And here is the pond, and man is it dirty. So time to clean this thing up. So, you know, we have the yellow truck, we have the blue truck, we have the 4-wheeler we bought, and now we have this brand new Kawasaki Mule. And this has been the most dependable way to get around the ranch. I mean, you can pile 1,000 pounds in the back, 4 to 5 people can sit in there comfortably. It's just really nice to crank it up and go. So one day we decided to go take a road trip, and we drove down towards Hardin and Fort Smith, found this Yellowtail Dam, and kind of looked around. The visitor center was closed, but it was still a heck of a sight. It's pretty neat to look at. So we took a couple pictures. We were scouting for a place to actually go fishing, and we finally found one. Here's a picture of Stephen sitting there on the bank of a river, and kind of a lake river area fishing, and you can see Stephen caught one. And here's Chase and myself, and I was goofing around, told Julie to take a picture of me fishing that I'd have better luck fishing in this water hole in the middle of the road there. It was just a joke. And here's the lake/river area that we fished. It was getting dark, so it was time to go on back to the cabin. So we headed back. Now, Julie and Carrie have talked and planned a trip. They're going to go on about a 5-day trip. Does that sound right? Road trip for 5 days, and they're going to, well, they've decided to go on a road trip and see some parks and stuff like that. So All I know is they were headed out. It was going to be 5 days or so, and they were headed for Glacier National Park and Yellowstone and places in between. Or we can just kind of go through some of these pictures.
Yes, just go through the pictures because it's been a while. So just take a pictures like every time we stop.
So waterfalls.
Yes, and some views.
Yep, some vistas and mountainous areas. We got, looks like this pine tree is sprouting, new growth, pine cones. What is that, a ground squirrel?
Yes.
Nice picture of the clouds over the mountains. Looks like y'all still got a little snow up there on top. I believe that's some kind of critter in the tree.
Sometimes we stop for some hiking.
Yep, there's Carrie hiking. Guess Julie stayed behind to snap a picture. Nice break in the clouds, the sun shining through. So, well, this is pretty neat. So the water dripping down this wall. Green meadows. There's Carrie again. So, first I thought she was wearing two different color socks, but I could see she's wearing green socks. She just has a wrap around her right ankle. So, at least she matches her backpack. And there is a picture of Julie and Carrie with a nice picture of a mountain pine. Don't know what kind of flower this is. Maybe one of you guys do.
I don't want to just take a picture.
But, so.
This is where we climb, hiking.
Looks like hiking stairs.
Mm-hmm. So we saw this U-shaped tree.
Is that a U or a J?
Oh, it looked like U or J. So since I'm short, I can take a picture. So I asked Carrie to take a picture of her.
Nice lake. That water is crystal clear. Can't beat our national parks here in the U.S. If you've never been and it's on your bucket list, go do it. Go do it now. Don't wait. The summer's coming. Get out there this summer. Find some time to take vacation. Go see this stuff. These pictures look great, but they do it no justice. So that is just fantastic looking. All that green grass on the side of that mountain until it gets up to a certain elevation and the grass just quits growing and it's all naked up there. Nice little falls going into a pond area. Great pic with the lake behind you and the mountains. Yep, there's Carrie standing in the same spot. And a lake. I would imagine these pictures are actually now, we're probably going through the tunnel headed into Yellowstone. Looks like y'all stopped for grub somewhere.
Food.
Philly cheesesteak and au jus with
curly fries. So that's the place where we stopped.
Welcome.
There's a little community there.
Looks like it was an old like mining community or something at one time, perhaps.
Where we stayed for a night. So this is like our hotel, which is made out of
a shipping container?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a shipping container made into a Airbnb.
Yes.
So, and okay. And let me guess, that was y'all's bathroom outside. So, just don't take a shower in there.
Nope.
That looks like an old mine shaft. It is an old mine shaft. Filled with water. I can see all the logs down there. Yep. Definitely a mining community. Looks like Carrie's fixing to climb that tree. And so Julie called me that night. She said, I'm sending you a picture of the moon I'm looking at. So I said, okay. And I did the same thing. We were looking at the same moon again. And I told Julie and Carrie when they went to Glacier that they had to take the helicopter tour. So they heeded my advice and they rented a helicopter. So, and up and away they go. Here's a picture of Julie in the helicopter. There's Carrie in the helicopter. I guess she's sitting up front. You're in the back. And here are the views from the helicopter.
Off to go.
Still see the snow up on top of those mountains over the lake. But you can never get a view like you can from a helicopter. That's a good view. Now that is a raging river right there. Whitewater Extreme. And look, there's Julie at either an entrance or an exit to Yellowstone. And Carrie. Liberty Cap. Hot Springs Cone. Interesting white rocks back there. Well, while Julie and Carrie were off on their road trip, the boys and I decided that the sheep worked out okay. So we got them back to their owner. It was not easy to do. But while she was off on that trip, we're working in the garage there. We've acquired a livestock trailer, as you can see, backed up in the garage because they're doing a little work on it, getting it ready, because we've decided that we're going to get our own animals. So they seem to do fine out here, so doing a little maintenance on the garage. The temperature's great, and you can see that it's about 55 degrees this morning. We got the trailer hooked up to the truck. We're ready to go. We made sure there's water in the trough. Again, this is, summertime now, so, and sun's up, and we're headed to Pay's auction. So 1 or 2 weekends, 1 or 2 days, or not sure what days, Monday, Tuesday, something like that.
Yeah.
Can't really remember. But at least once a month, certain months out of the year, Pay's has a goat and sheep auction. So we went there to check it out. And they had tons and tons of goats and tons of sheep. Our goal was to go get about 8 ram and a ewe and 2 blackface, ram and a ewe, and then maybe 2 goats, a male and a female, or 4 goats. Weren't really sure, but 6 to 8 was our goal. Well, I was there at the auction, and all these baby goats came into the ring. I'd bought a few things, and nobody would bid on these baby goats. And the guy was like, "You, sir, how about you?" And I was like, no, I don't need baby goats. I don't need baby goats. He's like, "Sir, you need baby goats." I was like, "I don't." He said, "How about for $100, takes them all?" I said, "Well, I guess I need baby goats." So I took the baby goats. And here are 2 of the sheep that we got at the auction. So we called him King Kong to the left and her Queen Kong. So they were the Kong. These guys, he weighed 360 pounds. She weighed 330 pounds. They were the biggest, most docile sheep you ever saw in your life. I do not know what kind of sheep these were, but they were the coolest looking pair out there, and I had to get them. And as you can see, we ended up with quite a few goats. So that was not my intention, but so Julie called to check how the auction went, and I had to tell her what?
Well, you sent me a picture, and then I saw there's a lot of goats and sheep on that picture. It's like, how many did you get?
Yeah, well, we ended up with 34.
It's like, what?
That's a few extra than what we agreed, we thought about. So that'll keep her for letting me go to the auction by myself. But so we threw them in the corral for the first night so they could get used to this area. We wanted them to know that this was kind of their space. Figured we'd trap them in here for a day or 2, feed them, and then cut them out and let them walk around and that type of thing. And they knew they could always come back here and go to bed here at night. So, and it worked out pretty good. They figured it out real quick. We had food in there, water in there. They enjoyed the walking around. So, and that was the whole point, is to get some critters that we could put out there on the ranch and watch them walk around. No sense in having that kind of land and all that grass and nothing to eat. And here is a picture of Stephen in his red shirt. And we called him the Goat Whisperer. Those baby goats just loved him. So, as you can see, he's going down to the lower corral to show all these goats where the lower corral is and that they have, more than one place to get water. I guess in this one, we call that one Big Red, and looked like Big Red really wanted whatever Stephen had in that bucket. He started throwing some on the ground so they would stop trying to knock him over. So he started out with the babies, ended up with all the goats there. Okay, so again, I said these were baby goats. So here we are goofing around with some baby bottles, and the little baby goats love milk. Well, here you can see the baby goats standing up on that platform we built. I'm glad we did, because that's the only way they were reaching that water at the lower corral area. It's not a corral yet, but it will be one day. So now we got water up top and water down below, 2 different places. So anyway, we ended up going into the town of Hysham one evening, because every summer, towards the end of summer, they have a festival. I don't remember the name of it, but this is behind VJ's Bar and Grill. and they had this game that we just had to record. So they have a challenge for all these kids. They have to catch a baby pig. I think there was about 4 or 5 in there in the pen. They had to catch a baby pig and drag it back into the circle, the center of this ring. And it was so funny to watch these little kids do this. Let's take a peek. Slippery little piglets. Now this video is the even younger kids doing it. The older kids are funny, but these little kids are hilarious. Anyway, that was just one of the things at the Street Fest. Great time. The whole town shows up. Pretty cool. Okay, so shortly after that, Chase was riding around the 4-wheeler, and he tried to climb a pretty steep hill and ended up going, pulling a wheelie and tumbling down the hill. Ended up against a tree. It's like a 40, 50 foot fall. So anyway, he's down there hurt. We get down there, Julie and Chase and Stephen and myself. We end up having to load him in the side-by-side, the Kawasaki, and bring him back to the cabin because his legs hurt pretty good. So we get him into bed, let him lay there, relax for a minute, see if something can be walked off or if something's broken. So and as we're doing that, Julie takes a video of this storm here. All right, so Steve and I go and retrieve the 4-wheeler and bring it back. We get it flipped over. It was not easy to do because it was uphill. We had to flip it over uphill and then drag it back with some chains and stuff. So we got back and we asked Chase, is your leg going to be okay? You going to walk this off? Or he said, as much as I'd like to walk it off, he said, I think it might be broke. It was swollen a little bit, but not too bad, but he thought his ankle might be broke. So we jumped in the truck, and as you can see, that storm was rolling in. And out of nowhere, in the middle of June, towards the end of June, it started snowing and hailing and raining. Rain, snow, hail. It was a combination of everything. So as you can see on the road here, where the tracks are at, this is us driving in like a slushy. We hit the interstate and it was 10 times bad on the interstate. I mean, we're literally driving in the windiest, rainiest sleet. I mean, this storm came out of nowhere. So here's a picture of the emergency room area in Forsyth, Montana, the hospital. You can see where I parked my truck there on the left. Didn't have any snow on it, but you can see the truck next to it had snow and ice all over it. Again, this is mid to late June. And after a couple of x-rays, Chase's ankle was broke. So looks like he'll be on that walking apparatus for a while. Well, so after that, it rained so bad, we knew that road going to the ranch would be horrible. Extremely muddy, that type of thing. So we stayed in a hotel that night and the next night. Yes. And decided to go home that next day and hoped that the road had some time to dry out. Well, we got about halfway down the road and the truck slid off from all the mud into the ditch and got stuck good. So Steven stayed with Chase in the truck and Julie and I walked all the way back to the ranch and up the driveway. We finally got up there and we got the tractor and drove the tractor down and used the tractor in 4-wheel drive to pull the truck out of the ditch. This is probably the next day or 2 days later, and there was a big chunk of mud on the tire, and I think Steven ripped it off the tire.
Yeah.
And it's funny how it imprinted what was written on the tire on this mud. Well, after that, it was time to go home for the summer, so we flew home. And one of the reasons we wanted to fly home is because Chase was expecting his first child. I think September 5th or 6th was her due date. Well, she surprised us all and came exactly 2 months early. So it is now July 5th.
Yes.
2019. And Rain Elizabeth Wilson was born into our family. And again, she is very small. She's a 2-month preemie. She was premature by 2 months. And you can see how tiny she is compared to Chase's hand there. So she had to live in this incubator for about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. Here she is, tiny little thing. We're sure glad to have her. And here's a little wink from her. She's a cute little thing. And a little bit of a smile. Gotta put these pretty things on their head when they're babies. Keep them warm and a little foo-foo. Here's Julie holding that baby. So her little rainbow. Here she is in her little bouncer. Again, real happy to have her. And there's proof that there is ET. So fresh out of the bath, Chase took this picture, and she definitely looks like an extraterrestrial. I just wish we'd have thrown her in the front of a bicycle and rode off into the moonlight. And I even decided to lay down and let her sleep on my chest for a while. Well, later on that year, we're coming up on Labor Day, and my brother Doug and his wife Pam and their 3 kids said, hey, we've got to get together and go do something. Well, we just happened to have that beach cabin, and said, come on down. We'll all meet at the beach and, for Labor Day weekend, have a good time. So here's a picture of Pam with Wyatt on the ferry going over to Galveston. And here is Wyatt and Natalie. And we got to the beach cabin. There's Chase and my brother Doug. Here's Natalie snuggled up with Julie. Me and my brother. Me and Natalie. Me and Natalie and Wyatt. There's Natalie. What an artist. Is that a flower or is that a guitar?
I'm not so sure.
So, see? Great artist. When you can't tell, it's art. Well, there's Doug on the golf cart that we rented. So there's Doug, Natalie, Wyatt,
Jocelyn.
and Jocelyn. So we're getting ready to head down to the beach. There's Doug playing with Wyatt. Looks like they're having fun to me. Are you about to bite that kid's ear off? Yep, fun in the sand. And there's our little rainbow. Let's see if the kids can make her laugh. Well, it was a great weekend and we really enjoyed it, and decided we'd have to do that more often. Well, now I'll show you a picture of my dad and his best friend, Steve. So this is a picture that I took years earlier. As you can see in the photo, it's 2010. But I wanted to show you these guys. So these guys are best friends. And my dad's on the left, Steve's on the right. And we decided, instead of going to the ranch, my dad really wanted to go hunting. So for Thanksgiving week, we decided we were going down to Cotulla, which is about 60 miles from the Mexican border, and go deer hunting. So Julie and I headed down there, and we got a call from Steve. We were supposed to meet them down there. We went that night, and they were supposed to show up the next morning. We got a call from Steve saying my dad was not doing well, and that they had to take him by ambulance to the hospital. So Julie and I headed to San Antonio, where he was in the VA hospital, and he was fighting some cancer and stuff, and he ended up not making it. So he passed on December 12th, and I believe this is around the 29th of December that we were finally going to have his funeral. He wanted to be buried in a certain cemetery, military cemetery, and they only do so many a day, and it's hard to schedule around holidays like Christmas. So this was actually the fastest we could get that done without being on like Christmas Eve. And Christmas Eve, we figured hardly anybody would be able to make it. So here's a picture. I'll go through who these people are. So there's Stephen and Julie, myself, my dad's wife, Kathy. There's Chase, his girlfriend, Star. There's
Jocelyn.
Natalie in the front row, and then Pam and Wyatt and Doug. So, and this is a really beautiful blanket that Kathy had made of my dad. She had several of them made, so each one of us got one. Really appreciate her doing that. Yeah, just another picture of us there, and we laid him to rest with his 7-gun salute, 21-gun salute. I say 7 because each 7 guys shoot it 3 times, which makes 21. And that's what happened. So it was a good year, and it turned out, that the cycle of life is what we learned this trip, this year. And sure gonna miss him. Sure gonna miss him. So we will see you guys next time for episode 23. We'll try to cover 2020. Y'all know COVID hit then. Fun for everyone. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
If you feel we've earned it, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.